This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's mention that Magnum starts cutting promos in early 86, and he announces that his goal, his New Year's resolution, if you will, for 1986 is to take the NWA World title from Ric Flair. And when I was fortunate enough last year to sit down with Jim Crockett, I asked, hey, if things hadn't have happened the way they did with Magnum and the car crash, we're going to get there in just a moment, would the plan have been Flair versus Magnum at Starrcade? And he said, no question. Would you have predicted in early 86, hey, Magnum's the next NWA World Champ?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it was just a no-brainer, Conrad, without sounding flippant. It's just, he was over, he was on a roll, he was young, and it wasn't so much about Rick. It's about just giving a different perspective to the championship. Because as long as Rick could perform to any level, he was going to be in the picture. So it wasn't about Rick. Oh, we got to get Rick this. He's getting old. We got to change this. We got to get his haircut. We got to do. Come on. You want to build new stars. And what better way to build a star than to anoint him at your biggest event of the year, beating the number one guy in the entire world? That's how you get somebody over. And he beats him, and he's a new champion. And now you run with that. Do you have heels ready to go against him, or are we back to just going to do return matches?
Right.
And I always hated that. Well, we'll get some returns out of it. But what's next? Oh, we'll figure it out. What? The next several opponents should be already earmarked because you should already be building them. If you don't know who his next run's going to be with, then how are you getting them ready?
Right.
Fill in the blank here. So, yeah, to me, it was, as I said earlier in the show, many of us believed, and Bill and I believe this, but we didn't have any say in the title, obviously. That was Jimmy's deal in that era. But, we said all along that this kid's going to be the guy.
Right.
And because he got over in our territory, much like when we get dates on the NWA champion and he comes in, we expect to draw big houses.
Sure.
Everybody wins, man.
So to start 86, before Magnum can get to Flair, he's got to handle the Russians, both Ivan and Nikita. They come knocking on his door and they're asking for U.S. title shots. Man, these two were really perfect for each other. When you look back at the career of Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff sort of defines him as his best opponent. I think it's got to be him or Tully. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I'd say Tully, but the newness and why promoters are always looking for something new to promote is that it was fresh.
Right.
And Nikita was a fresh villain in this super Russian, commie bullshit. And so it was attractive at that time. But to say that Nikita's matches were better on executed, ain't no way. Tully's, and that's not a knock at Nikita whatsoever.
Oh, no, of course not.
But it's just a matter that Tully was that damn good. So, but yeah, he came along in a good place at a good time. And little did we know how big a part of the Magnum TA story that Nikita Koloff would play eventually.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. I'm just fascinated with when you go back, and Tony Schiavone and I have been doing this for all of 86. You go back and you listen to Magnum's promos, and they're great against Tully. But, man, they are another level against Nikita. He becomes Mr. Captain America. I mean, he is Captain Patriotism, and he's for, all things America. And man, there's nothing he hates more than those dirty Russians. And he believes it. Of course, these days, some of that seems a little hokey and a little tongue in cheek, but at the time, in context is king, as Eric Bischoff says all the time, that was the way of the world. The Cold War was very much a thing. And I don't know, man, it just feels like nostalgia at its finest. The all-American champion defending the United States title against this Russian machine. We're right around the same time as Rocky IV, right? So you've got Ivan Drago, and I don't know, dude. It just feels like from a promo standpoint and a story standpoint, as great as the Tully matches were, I just think the Nikita stuff was just Americana circa 86.
Yeah, it was great and easy to understand.
Yeah.
Easy concept to sell and to communicate without a doubt. Nikita looked invincible. The physique was scary. He had perfected that for a kid from Minnesota. He perfected that Russian accent pretty good. He sounded like he looked, which is kind of cool. So, and Uncle Ivan didn't hurt things. Uncle Ivan was always there to add whatever you needed, and you knew it would be executed correctly. Ivan Koloff was a great pro and a good man. Cowboy told me his real name was, I think his real name, but his name that he went by for years was Red McNulty. So when he first came to Mid-South, I went in the locker room and the heel locker room, just bullshitting my way through like I do in life. And I said, anybody here named Red McNulty? Boy, old Ivan looked up. It's like he thought the FBI was on to him, or something. Is there Red McNulty here? And anyway, we got a good laugh out of it, probably more than the fans just did. But nonetheless, Red McNulty was Ivan Koloff. And I think his first name was like Oriole, Orreal or something. Anyhow, they were a good pair. That was a good booking. Dusty was smart in that regard, and Jimmy too, that you made sure that with your young gun heel, you got an old pro veteran with him to make sure he didn't go crazy here. Same thing that Magnum had guys where he was in the ring with, like Tully, to make sure you don't veer too far to the left when we're trying to go right, type thing.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.